Hello and welcome to another episode from the Real Talk and Revenue podcast. We have myself, Francesca, the accountant, and we have Jordan, the therapist, and we bring real powerful conversations around building revenue, building confidence, how the mindset works, all different discussions around to help others in business and in their personal life. So listen in, let us know what you think, ask questions along the way, and we'll be sure to answer them. Enjoy. Oh, we've got our coffees in. Morning.
Yeah. Cute. Happy podcasting. Thanks, Liberty.
It's interesting because, I have my most energy in the morning.
Yeah.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
I would say a morning person, but I don't think it's always been that way.
Okay.
It was kind of curated. I'm the sort of person that could easily stay up at night if I don't, make myself go to bed, because I'm that sort of person that... I can't remember, there's a word for it, isn't there? But where I'll think about all the things I haven't had a chance to do in the day, and I want to squeeze extra in at night, especially now I've got a baby, and there seems to be more time to do things at night. But I don't stay up late. It's very rare that I do. I'll go to bed, and I like being up and starting my day.
Cracking on with the day.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
I've just saying to Jordan as she was coming upstairs, I said, I've been setting my alarm for 6. Started off at 6:15. I've got 6 now, even if I don't necessarily need to get up.
Yeah.
And I love the days that I don't have to train. So today's a day off, whereas yesterday I got up at 6, knowing I needed to be at the gym for 7 because of my timings, knowing it was a horrible training session. Yeah. And I'm really trying to learn, to remind myself I get to do this. Yeah. Yeah. Because it honestly, obviously, I'm going to High Rocks weekend. We're not performing this weekend.
That would be nice to just spectate.
We're spectating. Steve's doing interviews, so it'll be really nice.
Yeah.
But the training, I get why people don't do these things. Yeah. It's a lot of sacrifice.
It is, yeah. Yeah, a lot of time, energy.
Yeah. And another thing I've noticed, and I don't know if anyone listening does running, I feel like I've not improved on my running since I started in June 2022, because you have stages of not running as much. Yeah. But I've noticed my Garmin is saying that I'm getting worse at my running. So my 5K, according to my Garmin, is getting slower, or my 10, even though I'm not running those distances. Yeah. Which I don't like, because you can imagine me, perfectionist. Why is that going down? It should be going up. Yeah. But I've got to trust the process because I'm not running as much. Yeah. So it's when I do run, I'm like, I'm slower at that. Why? Yeah. I'm thinking, but I'm building my glutes, I'm building my strength. Yeah. It's honestly, you learn so much about yourself. It's a minefield. Yeah. So just to ask you then, you said a few weeks ago on the podcast, you'd shared it, that you want to do more training or running or walking. I can't remember what you said.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something.
Oh, you was going to talk to George about a schedule of who's doing what?
Yeah, we did a schedule.
Yeah.
And I have not trained.
But why? What is that?
We weren't specific. So George knows what he's going to do when he trains, and he meets his friends and goes to one of his friends' gyms.
Oh, you told that. Has he stuck to it then?
Yeah. So he goes once a week. Yeah. On a Tuesday night. Whereas we just put in the calendar it was one Saturday, Jordan training. But I didn't. Do you know what I mean? It's not specific enough.
Yeah, I know. It just shows you, doesn't
it?
I was that's the right thing to write.
Yeah, but I'd still not decided what that's going to look like for me. Where am I going to do it? What kind of training or workout or just movement do I want to do? Wasn't so specific enough. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. So loose that is.
But it is.
It isn't for me now, because I've got a plan to follow and I'll go to a certain gym.
Exactly.
But when you're coming back into it, it's the classic, just do something. Yeah.
I mean, I'm active anyway, because I walk Bear twice a day, the dog. And I love walking. I love being outside. I love starting my day with a walk and stuff like that. So I really enjoy that. But I do obviously want to do something a little bit extra, just in more intentional movement for my body. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't really know what I want to do at this point. I'm not sure.
Would you call this procrastination? Is this a similar?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a video on that.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I would say as well. I'm just not prioritising it.
No, it's not your main priority.
It's not, which is fine. But I know I'd like to. But I don't know, I want to do something that I'm gonna enjoy and I'll stick to.
It's interesting because I'm, like I said to you earlier, I had a moment where I was like, I don't even know if I enjoy it. I thought, what? It's so interesting you should say that. I don't know if I do enjoy.
Yes, but we spoke about how you've really added like the competitive pressure to it.
Yeah, and discipline.
It's very different to when you've had periods of time where, yes, you've set yourself goals to reach, but it's going in the gym and it's working out just so you can feel better.
Yeah.
And, achieve things within the gym. It does become very different when you add a time pressure or you add like a very specific edge to it.
Yeah, like a competition.
Yeah, competing is another level, isn't it?
Yeah, it is difficult, and I get it, and I think loads of people will be like the same, and I get it, and I just think sometimes I'm doing it but not really enjoying it, and then someone might say to me, why are you doing it then?
Yeah.
So I get that, but then once I've achieved it, that feeling is like euphoric.
Yeah, and also like we can't always rely on our emotions and how we feel day to day, because it's going to vary. We're going to have inconsistency. So that's where, like habit building and forming is important, because over time, like ultimately, people train and do things because they know they're going to benefit from it. Like physically, mentally, it's like, I really can't be bothered, but I know this is good for my body, it's good for my mind. So, I will make an effort to do it for that purpose consistently. Yeah. Obviously, like if we spoke about this before, if you're ill, if you've got an injury, like it's look after yourself, isn't it? Don't
force through
when it's detrimental. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like and that for you is the challenge often, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a big challenge.
Very all or nothing.
But let me tell you about. I know I am. So I'll tell you about an event I went to yesterday, networking. I ain't been face-to-face networking for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I stopped doing it. So I did it for years before that. But the way my beliefs are that social media is your networking scene.
Yeah.
But I went because it's one of my clients' event. I'd really get on with him. I know he'll have good people there, and it was a curry in the afternoon. And I thought, you know what? Honestly, it was £30, and the curry was fantastic. The one in Newark, Bazari.
Yeah.
The people there was really lovely.
Yeah.
And there was let's say there was 15 of us max, if that. Yeah, there's probably about 15. I loved it. At first, I didn't like walking in. I felt a bit weird.
Yeah,
I thought, I recognise him, and I thought, oh no, I don't ever want to go over there. And I stood about, but they greeted me in, and then they made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? Because Erica, who works for Buttercross Estates, actually said, oh, you do loads of networking, and you love doing this and this, that, the other. And I went, I haven't been networking for 2 years. Really?
Yeah. Because she's seen you on social media, so you've got a presence still, haven't you? Even if it's online.
Yes,
so
interesting.
People still acknowledge you as somebody that's like in the space. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't actually like doing it. Really? I was like, why do you think I was a host of one? And even then, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh, she says, you wouldn't know. I was like, I did enjoy it as in helping others, as in I was there for them. But at the end of the night, I was so happy it was done.
Yeah.
The anticipation killed me, and it's interesting.
I remember the build-up to them, and you'd be like, oh,
in bits.
It'd be really hard for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, really hard. But I also have learnt that so Dan was on the outside, he looked dead chilled about it and didn't take it so seriously like I did.
Yeah.
But the reason why mine had 50 to 70, maybe 80 at one point people is because the effort I've put into it, I feel.
Yeah.
But there's that point in me, if I didn't put as much effort in, let's say 20 people turned up, would I be disappointed?
Yeah.
Would it matter? I've still got a lot of learning to do around this.
Yeah.
Even though I did it for 7 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what I'm going to say is, like, I don't know about big, like, networking events, business clubs, and it's a hard sell, that is.
Yeah, do you know what? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there was this lady, I can't remember her name now, but I found her, like, so interesting. And she said she'd, like, launched a podcast, and it was doing well, and someone had said to her, you should go to, like, the podcast summit or something. It was, like, in America. Like it was a networking event, and
she's saying you should go to that.
No, like she was on about it on this podcast.
Oh right, okay.
And she said like she went and she forgot to take like business cards, and she asked like another like peer that was there like like I haven't got business cards, like why are people here, like what would be the purpose of like handing out a business card, like to what gain sort of thing. And she was told that like basically everyone was there because they have like a representative from Apple who comes, so people were like obviously really keen to make an impression so they could be featured in Apple, because then your podcast would blow up. And then so she was saying
that scouts. Like, you know, if you're getting scouted.
So, I guess, yeah, a bit like that, isn't it?
That's quite cool, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, but she was like, oh, okay. And then she said, like, it wasn't really my vibe. Like, I didn't like it felt...
B&I, fake,
yeah,
forced.
It felt fake. It didn't feel authentic. It felt quite pressured. People were, like,
yeah,
just in it to gain sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, what can you offer and this and that? Like, but not in a nice way.
Yeah.
So she took herself back to her hotel and was like having a coffee in the lobby, and like this person started chatting to her and they got on well, and they were like chatting away, and he got up to leave and was like, oh, you know, here's my business card. I work for Apple. If you want to like come and have a look around the offices sometime, like be happy to show you around. He was the Apple rep. He wasn't even in the event because he needed a breather, wasn't really feeling it, and he was like the director of, you know, so, and she was like, but that's, you know, that wasn't what I was there to gain. She was like, we're really good friends now, like I've learned so much from him, he became like a mentor of mine, like,
what the hell?
It wasn't just like I
and she did that in the lobby?
Of not even the hotel that the event was happening. She went back to her hotel.
So it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Do you believe in it's meant to be?
Yeah, I believe in like the law of attraction, that like attracts like. So which I think we've spoken before, like what you put out into the world I think is really important, because I feel like you'll get more of that back. It's like an energy thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and she was meant to go to this podcast event. She was meant to like leave, go into back in wherever she met that guy.
Yeah.
That wasn't her. I don't know. It's a different...
She wasn't like pushing for it. She wasn't I'm going to manifest being featured by Apple. She just like kind of showed up as
maybe
her
she did.
authentic self. I don't think she did.
Right.
She just kind of showed up as her authentic self. Didn't push something that didn't fit her values and the way that she wants to be seen and operate.
Yeah.
It's a bit woo-woo, isn't it, really? But
I believe in it.
But I believe in it all, and I believe, and it's the same, isn't it? We've spoken about before, like, the 5 people you surround yourself with, or the 5 people that you're closest to, you're probably going to be most like in terms of, like, adopting, like, attitudes, behaviours and things like that. So it is really important, like, who you put yourself around and who you spend time with, and like so how you come into your days. Like, it's not always easy, like, we're all human, but like it's harder being miserable all the time.
Oh, it's so true. Or just as much effort.
Yeah, then like, again, like just being grateful for things. And like you said at the start with the training thing, like you have to remind yourself, like, you're lucky doing what you're doing, or just being grateful that like you're able to do that. Like, there are so many people in the world that like can't do movement for so many reasons, like chronic conditions, like, you know, people aren't able-bodied and still find things to be like grateful for and happy about. You know, I'm not talking about like toxic productivity or anything like that, but it's just like curating your own like happiness and contentment, because a lot of the time, even in like some really hard circumstances, there's like something to be grateful for or like happy about, isn't there?
I know, and even if, like I said to this, I think maybe to my sisters or I can't remember, but sometimes even if you don't work and you just, I don't know, stay-at-home mum, for example. Yeah. Because it always sounds easier than what it is, but you'll still kind of feel like you do now when things are hard in your business plan or your work life. Yeah. So actually, you may as well make life a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And push your boundaries and create something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it feels really it's meant to feel uncomfortable. I've learned now everything's meant to feel uncomfortable, and everyone's got imposter syndrome. Everyone's suffering in some ways or another.
Yeah.
Whether you've got £1 million sat in your bank.
Yeah.
And you don't have to work ever again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so interesting that I'm learning a lot about this.
Yeah.
But today's, I wanted to touch upon toxic.
No, we've gone on a tangent.
We have to a little. We have to give a bit of goss away and tell us about a week. I know, toxic relationships. I find this a really interesting subject.
Yeah, and again, it does tie into people's like beliefs and attitudes and how you operate in the world, doesn't it? What can make a person or a relationship toxic?
We're fixers, aren't we?
Yeah, that's risky.
Rescuers, fixers.
Yeah.
See the good in everyone.
Yeah.
Believe in them so much ourselves, but we don't care if they believe in themselves or not, because we'll fix them.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I've learned. Okay, I was still doing this up until my early 30s. Okay, I'll be honest with you. It's almost like I gravitated to.
Yeah.
What's that? What do you call them then? Because we don't call them toxic people because they're not as such.
No. I don't know.
Not bad boys, because that's a horrible saying. Ick.
Not even that. I feel like as well, like obviously there's like the romantic relationships which we'll talk about, but for me it was really, really present in friendships and the people that I would like make friends with, and want to like help and support and stuff like that, just completely naturally without even realising, like in my late teens and stuff like that.
What, and they're not? What do you mean then? So they were not great for you?
Sometimes not. Yeah, sometimes it very like energy draining, like you need a lot from you.
Yeah.
Or like realise, and again, I don't think it was an intentional thing, but friends that like you'd be helpful. So like, I don't know, small things that I could drive quite early on. So like, I'd have friends who like couldn't drive.
So you'd be running around after them?
Yeah, I'd like pick people up, run around after them, offer to like, and bear in mind, like I was at college, I didn't have money, but I had a part-time job, so people couldn't afford to come out. I'd be like, I'll pay for your night out tonight.
That's you.
Like,
that's you.
Yeah, like.
Never having any money because you're spending it on either yourself going out, but helping others.
Yeah, and it was funny because I remember like one day I was in college and one of my friends had offered, because I couldn't afford 1 week to go out, and she had offered to like pay for me to go out, and then last minute she was like, I can't afford to, but like rocked up with like a Topshop bag like of new stuff, like right there in front of my face.
What did you feel like in that moment? Because you wouldn't have said anything.
I didn't, no, but I felt angry.
Yeah.
So angry and like
let down,
yeah.
What did it make you realise then?
That you won't always get treated the way that you treat others. Like that's not a given.
Yeah.
I think at the time as well, like I think I was about 18 or something like that, and it felt like so bad. Like it was such a betrayal, and I was like, that's like.
And you've bear in mind you've paid for them a lot.
Yeah. Like, and I remember just thinking like, this is so bad, like that's awful, and a bit like it was a personal attack. In hindsight, as an adult and like reflecting on it, like it's not like it wasn't a personal attack. It's just about like where not even like intentionally enforced boundaries, but where your values and attitudes and your threshold of like, you know, I can't afford it, I can, what you'd sacrifice in order to like, do you know what I mean? Like what was important to that person. So like it's not that big a deal. Like you, and again, like you might be disappointed, but again, like now I know, like I'm willing to support and give without receiving anything back. Like, and I have to be prepared for that. Yeah. Or else what's the point? Like I'm not doing it to gain from another person.
Yeah.
But when you're younger, it's like a favour, or well, I've done that for you, and how come you're not doing the same for me?
That causes issues.
Yeah,
I've always said tit for tat.
Your expectations are off. Like some people might say, well, that's really unfair. Like that's not right. But also, like, I had unfair expectations of that situation, and yeah, like now, if I go in to do something for someone, not expecting anything back. I'm not like, well, I've done that for you, so you need to do, like,
it's your
I'm just
turn.
doing it because like I'm okay with it. I want to help.
It's all in your own action. It's all how you deal with. So, for example, actually, me and Steve had a conversation. What was it, last week? I said, I'm not having this kind of relationship because you do this and then it's my turn and I do that. He wasn't saying that's what he wanted, but I was saying it because I can't remember what we watched or what we... I thought, I'm not in that relationship where I do coffee one morning, it's your turn the next day, or because you do this, I have to do that.
No, and it's just like
Teamwork all the way through. And also, if you do start getting knocked or niggled about something, have a conversation. Don't let it build, because you will snap. And then you're falling out about something that's not the argument in itself, it's stuff that has wound you up for years or months.
Straw that breaks the camel's back.
And then you're like falling out over a sweet, and it's like nothing
blow up. And it's just like this mountain of little things you've collected and sat on.
It's so interesting because so I've been around friendships that are not bad people, but they are
not for you,
not for me.
Same.
Relationships as well, where I'd run around. But then I think when you have a breakup, accept some responsibility.
Absolutely.
Oh no, they cheated on me. Okay, they did do wrong. Doesn't mean it's still all their fault. And that sounds really bizarre.
No, it is hard, isn't it? I think you're right. And obviously, like, one of the things we said at the end of a couple of episodes ago, I feel like it's easy to label someone as toxic, and they might have certain behaviours that aren't very nice, and you know, you don't want in a partner or a friend or whatever. But and certainly with like one of my past relationships, it was easy for me to be like, you know, what a dickhead, like what an arsehole, this and that. But ultimately, like, we weren't good together. Like, we didn't work together. You know, like, we didn't operate in the same way. We didn't have similar like attitudes and beliefs, and that wasn't anybody's fault. Like, we got together quite young, and I think I didn't know myself very well at that time. I didn't have much confidence and stuff like that. And when that started to change a little bit, and I felt like I knew myself more, I knew my values more and what was important to me and how I like to operate, what I like to do, who I like to be around, that's when you start to realise the decision I made when I was 19 about who I wanted to be with doesn't fit my... I can't remember how old I was at the time, like 27.
Is that what it was?
No, hang on.
It might have been.
2020. How old am I now?
4 years ago. 5 years ago. We're in 2025. I didn't know, 5 years ago. So what are you now?
31, 32.
So quite young, 26, 27.
You know.
And you're still young, but you feel old then, don't you? I remember hitting 25 feeling old. What the hell?
But I feel like some relationships have give and flexibility, and people talk about like growing with someone or not, growing together or growing apart, and I feel like that's just about like, does your relationship have the flex and capacity for one another to like go and change a little bit, like, but be accepted either way? And do you know what I mean? And because you're probably going to change, maybe not quite as much in terms of values and stuff, but from like 30 to 50 and stuff like that.
You do change.
Like, of course you will.
It's difficult, isn't it? Like, I just think, what was I thinking? But I've been called bossy, and look, probably a few other things. And I used to be so like, am I? Oh my God, it's awful. I must be. Then I think, well, bossy's kind of like, that's a direct. That could be a direct. You direct. Well, it's got me to where I am now. But obviously back then, and they'd say stuff that's your insecurity. Oh God, I was so insecure in my 20s, and even up to my 30s. I think it took me till like I'm 30. Still, I started the business, 33, 33, 34, that I was like, right. And I think it's hard. Can you imagine being with someone from a really young age?
And for some people, it works, doesn't it? Like, you do see it. And for other couples, it doesn't. Like, your values shift and change. You're no longer aligned, you go in different directions. And there are couples out there whose values, like, remain in alignment. They'll... grow together, whatever that means. But I think it just means that, you know, you keep similar values, you flex with one another's like changing interests, personalities, career goals, and you support that. And that's not easy to do from when you're young. It's not easy to have all the time. It's not easy to have an open mind all of the time. And we talk about our like 20s and late teens, don't we? And like just being riddled with insecurity, like not having confidence, not really knowing who you are, like being so worried what others think about you, and like like you pick partners based on the most like superficial things, like like they're attractive, but completely like disregard the type of person they are. Like, what's that?
I know.
What's
honestly.
that? And you put all these rules on partners, don't you? Like, I couldn't be with someone who didn't look like this or dressed like that, or or they're too nice, or
I know. I used to think I'd never be with someone, you know, because I was like out with my sisters and that they more settled than me first, and I was like, I thought I'd never find anybody. It sounds daft, but you know, even when I was younger, and then I was with somebody, and then they turned the phone off for the weekend or the night, and I'd be ringing and crying about it. Oh God, it's so like, I wonder why I went there. And there's loads of people that just have nice relationships, and
and I mean, we could understand why.
Well, like, I didn't have my dad around, and he was a bit of a, and it's definitely that.
And sometimes it's like it can be a mixture of like what's modelled to us, and again like the beliefs that we hold about ourselves. Like one of my biggest challenges, and I'm sure it has been yours, is already I'm thinking about like how on earth do I instill confidence into my daughter because I didn't have it. Do you know what I mean?
You could say that about me though, you know, because loads of people say, oh, you're going to be an inspiration to your kids. Well, it doesn't mean she's all of a sudden going to be confident. Even if you say you've got to be confident, you said all the right things. I don't think anything really works. Sometimes it's a natural.
Sometimes it is. I think there are a lot of variables that contribute to it, and you know, when we're trying to understand our own belief systems and why we made decisions we did, why we didn't have confidence in ourselves, there's a massive like social aspect that comes to it, and like cultural aspect. And so you'll see like different traits and attributes of like different generations of like men and women coming through because of like the cultural and social norms at that time. Do you know what I mean? Like again, it's easy to see this in what the trends are with bodies, and you know, like for example, 90s, it was known for like heroin chic, wasn't it? Like skinny, all of that. And then what, like maybe if I look back to like 2010, that kind of era, it was like clean eating.
Yeah, that was coming in.
Paleo, like
don't eat
getting into the gym and stuff like that. And so
bodybuilding, I suppose.
All different things like that. And you see this in both like attitudes, what's acceptable in society and what's not, what's cool, what's not, and all of those things. So there's like there's a massive like societal and cultural element to that, like what's acceptable in the peer groups and things like that. Parents will have an impact, like no matter what they're doing as well, in terms of like what you see them doing, how they feel about themselves and how they carry themselves, like will have a massive impact. There's loads of things like what we consume on TV and stuff like that. Like there's so much stuff. But like this is a big part of what we often do in therapy with people who have low self-esteem and like chronic depression and things like that, is like formulating the experience to understand like, okay, why do you believe that about yourself? Like, why do you operate in this way most of the time? And then we look at, well, when was that formed? Usually it's in childhood, because that's when our belief systems are developed. And then we're like, okay, well, you know, it's not serving you well anymore, is it? So how do we unpick that and unpack that?
It's interesting, because I feel like there's a lot of pressure on men as well in a different way.
Often you'll see a different type of pressure and a different type of insecurity.
They've got to earn the money.
There. That still is present.
Get your career, pressure to do well, pressure to be a man. Or whatever that I've put, man.
We said this a little bit in one of our episodes before, didn't we, about how women will often say, I want somebody who's like in tune with emotions and open and communicates and stuff like that.
But,
and then when it shows up, when men get upset, I can't remember if there was a study done. Sometimes women don't like it. They can't handle it. I'm sure there was a study done about it. And then men again feel like it's reinforced, rejected, that's wrong, need to man up. You know, so those stereotypes still exist, like whether it be, you know, the physical gender roles or like what we expect, like emotionally from men and women, boys and girls.
It's so interesting, isn't it? How you can like, I don't know, you can be in such a wrong relationship for years.
Yeah.
But I always say, look inward.
And you do, and I was going to say, that's when you start to sort of like make better decisions, when you get some confidence and when you're a bit more sure of like who you are and what you stand for.
The only way I got that's so true. So there might be people listening going, well, how do I get confidence?
You widen your experience, and that's what you did.
Yeah, exactly.
You decided to go to college, met different people, put yourself in different environments.
Earned my own money.
Earned your own money and got independence.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The worst thing in the world for any woman is having to rely on a man for anything. I know that sounds really bad. I don't know if it does sound bad, actually. The worst thing I say is if you have to rely on someone, it will eat at you a little bit.
Yeah, I think if anyone's financially dependent on anyone, that's hard, because then if things aren't working, you've got a financial pressure as well that's like tying
I just have
you
to
to
stay
a person.
together.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'd do. Where will I go? You know,
it's a horrible trapped feeling.
Yeah.
I hate that trapped feeling.
Yeah.
Because I've been there where it's like, oh, I'm going to be on income support or I'm going to be on tax credits then because I'm left.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, suck it up.
Yeah.
Until you can do better than that.
Yeah.
And it's
that's
like.
it. But you can see why so many people get stuck in the same cycle, the same thing every day, stuck in circumstances they're not happy with.
Yeah.
Because they can't see where they can break that cycle. Like for you, it was kind of like, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do a course, wasn't it?
And it's also like, I remember waiting for maintenance payments and things like that.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, let's say, I'd never lower myself to say, I'm desperate for your money or I can't afford something this week. But I'd be very much sure that I make sure they pay.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I never said I need your money because I'm like, have you paid that?
Yeah.
Because I would never lower myself, whereas some people would be like, I can't afford this and I would never show up as that.
Yeah.
I'd never allow them to know how tight it was for me that week.
Yeah.
So to some people, or to them, it may have looked like I had it all together.
Yeah.
But do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I always think, and it was a really rough time when I was counting every penny.
Yeah.
Feeling like, oh God, what am I going to do with my life? It was awful.
Yeah. And equally teaches you a lot. Like now we say like that there's a part of you that struggles to leave that bit behind, isn't there? Because you'll say like, oh, I don't know about spending that.
I get really anxious around spending.
Yeah, because that you don't forget that, do you? And
no.
Sometimes it's hard to shake. And again, we spoke before about the fear of like, well, I don't want to spend too much because like, what if something goes wrong in the business? I need to make sure that.
Yeah. But there's a massive, and I'm learning as well, and I've learnt, and this is what I say to other business owners, investing in stuff will come around again. It does.
But more personally, like personal spending for you.
Oh.
You do it, don't you?
Now.
And it's getting easier, but it's not been an easy thing, has it?
No, I don't just spend for the sake of it as such.
Yeah.
But I am getting better. It's really, and it's that belief when you're told you're never going to amount to anything. Or you'll always be on tax credits, scrounging or sponging off the state, and it was and I was embarrassed because I thought, well, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then making me feel like it's all my fault, even though it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
But with my children as well, I was very protective.
Yeah.
I was guiding when they get like to see them. I wasn't like, you can't see them.
Yeah.
But they didn't either make it easy to say it's 50-50 split.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is the obvious choice that the woman has them more, but then why should it be like that? And that's only until meeting Steve and how he is with his kids I've learned that I thought it was a norm that there's a weekend dad.
Yeah.
How bizarre is that?
And it's just what you're used to, isn't it?
Well, I work away. I work more hours than you. I do this, I do that. But they won't change their careers to allow the woman. So I had to create my career around it. And let me tell you, they never, ever had them, really, in the week. as like to help. Never say, "Oh, do you need any help with anything?"
No.
It was so interesting. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Let me just say that in case they're listening. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but oh God, I'm like, we're just different. Like, thought processes.
Yeah, and so so toxic relationships. So sometimes people with toxic traits, let's say. So what do you look for now in friends? Like, and in people that you want to spend time with? Obviously, they're like Steve as well, your husband.
Yeah.
And you've spoken before about how, like, you know, like, Steve's completely different to the partners you've had in the past and people that you might have thought you might have been with before as well.
Yeah.
But, like, exactly the right person.
Yeah. What do I look for? I like people that better in themselves.
Yeah. Ambition.
I can feel myself around.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is for everyone.
I always thought it was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then I learned, oh my God, I don't do it around that person or that person.
Yeah, and I don't need to, like, manage myself to fit other people's, like, expectations or interests and stuff.
Exactly. So that is a big thing. Being yourself.
Yeah.
They've got ambition. I like that. I like people, I know this sounds bizarre, that will put themselves out there online.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bizarre to say Steve, I kind of had to like nurture, but he was the marketing person behind Code Fitness and had everything there. He just probably wasn't doing as much as video face content, but he's willing to with me because that's my thing.
Yeah.
What else do I look for? People that will support, you know, encourage me when I ask for advice and not go, oh no.
Yeah.
What about you?
Good question. I guess, like, similar things. Not too bothered about, like, the online thing.
No.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just drawn to people who, like, whether they're similar to me or not, like, I'm really drawn to people who have, like, a confidence, whether that's, like, a quiet confidence. I like, just, like kind people who I can talk to about, like, mental health, psychology.
Yeah, get deep with, deep conversations.
Yeah,
yes,
I love
that's where
that.
we get.
Yeah, where you can chat about all that stuff. Like, I can have a superficial conversation. Like, I really don't mind. Like, some people get irritated by that. I know.
Yeah, but then when you feel that they are.
Yeah.
And I do this, I'm like, this conversation's not filling my cup.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then I think, why am I in this?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So I have made changes. That's a really good.
Yeah.
Superficial.
So I love that when you can really just, you know, when you meet someone a bit like what we did, and it just naturally flows. Like, it's not forced. You end up just chatting about things. You can be vulnerable with a person, and I think that's what good friendships and relationships are built on. Like, not that you have to pour your heart out all the time, but, like, it's safe to chat about anything, and they're not gonna judge you. I know it's not your favourite word.
Go on. Not authentic.
I love authenticity.
Someone said it at the networking. I just want to be authentic online.
Yeah, but it's so important, and I feel like there's no other word to describe it.
No.
Like, and I know if someone's not. Like,
go on, give us
it is just.
Come on then, we want to tell us the two things you notice when you know they're not being real, authentic.
I honestly I wouldn't know how to contextualise it like that, because I feel like it depends on the person and the circumstance that you're in.
True, body language.
Body language. You can just tell when a person, I don't know, maybe when someone isn't at ease in that situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're not being authentic, but it's this sense of, like, this isn't you, this isn't where you want to be.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
What's a really obvious indicator of this is, like, if somebody has a certain presence online, you meet them in person, and you're like, what?
Have you had this before?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had it,
Yeah.
And then they go quiet online because I think they know deep down, even with people saying they turn over amount of money and...
Yeah, some people don't, and it's even, like, friends, you know, people who aren't online for their business, or I know someone that does this with their business.
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah, but also I know, like, people who share certain things, say certain things online, and don't carry themselves like that in person.
Really?
And it's just out of alignment, and you're like, oh, okay, that's odd.
Really odd. There was a guy on LinkedIn, right? He's a marketeer, I think, for LinkedIn optimizing and posting for people. And he's one of them that I know only inbox me on LinkedIn, right? A cringy inbox. Thank you for liking, because he knows it's then going to get me to see his content more. I've heard this for LinkedIn.
Right.
But there was one day that he messaged me and I was like, oh, do you want to catch up on Zoom or Teams or whatever I said? He was like, oh, well, I'm not trying to sell anything. And I thought, why would you not just get on a call?
Yeah.
If you're so want to create not friendships, but connections. Yeah. Genuine connections without, so he's like, if you're not going to buy,
agenda.
Don't bother. Yeah. And he made me feel like, oh my God, you're so not genuine.
Yeah.
He's just after work, which is, okay.
I hate I don't use LinkedIn. I can't vibe with it. Like,
really?
I can't vibe with it.
But how come when I can, when we're similar in our ways we are?
We are very similar, but we also have our differences as well,
with online.
Don't we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with, like, social media.
Let's forget the word social media then. What is it about LinkedIn?
Yeah, I don't get
Too corporate?
I don't know what it is. I just don't... It doesn't feel good for me, like, energetically. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't log on and, like, I tell you what really irritates me though and pisses me off. It is those fucking inboxes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you accept a connection and then immediately you get this message and it's like, hi, I'm offering, and I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, synergy. Is there a synergy? Let's jump on a call for 15 minutes.
I just like, oh, get off.
I know.
It's the icky side of sales and marketing, isn't it? And it's the side that I feel like a lot of us as business owners worry about when we market. Mm-hmm. And I've had this with coaches and stuff like that, where I say, like, I don't want to, like, drop into people's inboxes and say, like, how do you see? I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be visible so that I can reach people that will genuinely benefit from my services. And that's hard, isn't it? So that they can look and go, that's something that I really want to do. And they might come back to, and then, but obviously that's not always how sales work. But I can't.
I know, and I give myself the ick. I definitely do. I genuinely. So I got Darren. So we've got another sponsor of a video, someone that we work with. We did the outsourcing, offshoring chat. Yeah. Anyway, I did the video for the sponsor to promote them. Sent it to Darren to, like, check it and then let me know any feedback before editing to say, can you redo this because of this? Yeah. I hate, and I have to watch it back because he's edited it, and I'm like, oh, is that me? And at the end, I genuinely get excited. It's a natural video, but when I look it back, because I get overexcited, I'm like, let's get started or something. But then I think, well, it's people that don't know me would like it still. Yeah, but people that know you and see you a bit cringe, they judge you more. It's always the people that don't know you will support you more.
You're right. You are right.
And I hate that. But then I think that, right, so I listened to another podcast and he said there's three things, and I probably can only think of two, but if you are, no, it's three: silly online, weird online, sexy online. They're the three areas that make you stand out. Rather than going on and saying, I'm a therapist and I can help you with your traumas. It's not going to get anywhere. But if you went on and went, I don't know, swearing and going on about your own traumas, people are going to look up and go, gosh, she's like, she's normal because she's a bit crazy.
Yeah, but I feel like you can't just put that on.
You can't put that on.
You've got to find your thing, like your, like, quirk, or what's going to appeal to somebody else that might be, like, similar to you, or like, you can't just show up like that if it's not for you.
You know, when I was doing my DJ Fran days, I'm not a DJ, by the way, that was I don't sit behind the scenes every day dancing on the chair, but I would do a silly dance for the kids or start moving around for Steve, and so I moved that to a video. But why wouldn't you do that? What's the difference? Because you don't, do you know what I mean? What's the difference if you just put in on a bit of entertainment? I do be silly behind the scenes, but you must be.
Yeah, that's it. But it'd have to be something that was me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a bit of you. Like, so, I don't know.
I don't know how to describe what I'm getting at with that. I am silly, and I'll do a shoulder roll at home, and I've done all, and I'm like the crazy auntie, you know. But what's the difference in someone else just becoming that if they want to and being that?
I think if they want to, that's fine. If that feels good to them.
Well, it didn't feel good to me. I felt it really uncomfortable. I showed my vulnerability online.
Yeah.
So people get confused.
But were you just doing it for...
I was doing it for a laugh, and I wanted to make people laugh, and I wanted to give them feel-good vibes. Yeah. So I talked about positivity, and I was like, right, I'm going to put this music on. I love this song because of this, and then I did a little jig with it.
Yeah.
And that to me so easy to do, but it was uncomfortable as
being online. Oh. Yeah, because it is like your like worky side. It's not the professional accountant that might be conditioned into you before.
So don't think any of my content.
Yeah.
You're meant to be feeling completely comfortable because it's definitely me.
No. I feel like whenever you put yourself online in any way that is authentic, you are being vulnerable because you're vulnerable to people not liking you like you are in the real world. But it's just very...
That's what stops everyone.
It's a pressure cooker for it because you know, anyone then can comment if they want to, and that's fine. Like, yeah. People can do that every day, but not on this scale, but a platform.
Yeah. That is so... The hardest bit is when... I always say, be careful what you wish for. I love the idea of more and more people following, looking at it, whatever. And there's deep down, a lot of others want that. They'll say, oh no, it's not for me, straight away.
Yeah. But deep down, they don't think that they can do it, or... Yeah.
It's not comfortable. They think that certain people can only do it.
Yeah.
Like the show-offs, or I don't know. It's really interesting because I've got really uncomfortable with it.
And you're right, like, anyone can, because there's always going to be someone you'll resonate with. And I follow people that I think... so hard. But I like their content, but I think you've not got a lot of charisma or character about you, like in my opinion.
So that's that judging piece, isn't it? And I get that.
Yeah. But I like what they're putting out there. Like, I enjoy consuming their content, but I think, like, to me, you're not a very charismatic, warm individual that I'd usually gravitate towards.
But you're watching them.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying something about your content and what you're putting out there.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
Because they've given you something to go...
Yeah, it's something valuable. Something that they're offering that I'm interested in and I like.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, actually.
Yeah.
So they're not perfect.
No, I don't.
But somehow you're watching them.
Yeah, but also I recognise that they are being themselves as well. Like,
I like that.
You're not showing up doing something that doesn't necessarily feel right to you. Like, you're showing up as yourself and you're offering what you're passionate about in a way that feels good to you, or maybe sometimes it feels uncomfortable, but you're there. I can see your personality differs from mine.
Yeah,
but that's fine, isn't it? Like,
what are you worrying about? So when you say show up as yourself and be authentic, if you went on and did a video later from the car, let's just say, I went, I've just done a podcast, blah blah blah. Talked about
Why do you always do it in a moaning tone? Like, I've just been doing a podcast. That's more like...
But does that just... Then, I was going to say, and then you started singing, because you turned the radio up a bit, because you would sing in the car, wouldn't you, now and again? Does that mean you're not authentic all of a sudden? Because you're performing. You've got to see. You know, if you did a speaking event, you've got to perform. You've got to entertain, so you have to put on a bit of, like, energy.
But I feel like I entertain in different ways. I don't know, like... with a bit of humour here and there.
Yeah, that's good.
That's me, that's who I am, that's how I interact with the people around me. Like, would I sing and dance? I would, with the people I'm most comfortable with, but I maybe wouldn't like do a little sing on camera because I don't know, like...
I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that I'm against that for other people, like, I'd laugh at it.
But would you ever think, I wish I could just bloody have the balls to do that? And there's that element.
Yeah, sometimes I think, like, hats off to them.
How are they getting these views? I see people, right? There was 2 women that I absolutely love following. They're following, and they aren't skinny. They have greasy hair sometimes. They say about their greasy hair.
Yeah.
They do makeup tutorials. They show around their home.
Yeah.
They're not perfect. They swear. They burp online and have a right laugh and sing and do a silly dance.
Yeah.
And I think that's stuff that they're probably not necessarily doing every day all day.
No, but they're like amplifying imperfection, aren't they?
And that's all you need to do.
Modelling it. Yeah.
And this is my advice for anybody listening.
Yeah.
It's all in us all.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I'm telling you now, there was a woman that said on her thing, I'm not going to post content that makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm thinking, I post daily content that makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So she made me question whether I should be sharing it because if it's too personal, it's making you feel uncomfortable, don't share it. Whereas I'm like the opposite.
Yeah.
If it's making you feel uncomfortable, that's exactly why you should.
Yeah, yeah.
But then that should be sharing, I don't know, a bit about my house or a bit about what I'm eating.
People are always going to have an opinion on like how much they want to share, and either approach is fine. Like, some people aren't comfortable for different reasons, and it's okay to not want to, you know, amplify your personal life on social media. Like, some people, they don't show their children, do they, or their children's faces and stuff like that. That's something I think about quite a lot.
Yeah. Some people
put
a star behind their kid's face on LinkedIn.
I watch a YouTuber.
Probably not do it.
Who's like a mum of 5, and she blurs her kids' faces out on the videos. Like, they'll be like walking around in the background and stuff, and it's just pixelated.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I thought that'd be, at first I was like, what? That's so weird. But I watch her content and I enjoy it.
So
and
you
I'm
just
like,
ignore that bit.
Yeah, I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I think, show up in a way that works for you and feels manageable for you.
Yeah.
And then you might grow into that. Like,
It's
you
so
might
true.
feel like you can share a bit more, do a bit more.
Exactly. I didn't start off by doing chair slides or dancing.
Or even you mentioned before about like, and this is for like a lot of people, like showing up without makeup on and stuff like that.
That
like,
took
that
guts.
can be hard.
Yeah. But what I was getting at with saying showing up online as well with toxic people, when you're leaving behind people and you're cringing at yourself because you know they're going to look, because they want to look.
People like her. Yeah, they want to look because people feel good, don't they? And being able to like find fault with somebody that they don't really like or they've had an issue with. Look at them now.
Yeah.
That's not right.
And that's why I'm a hashtag for a couple of years. If you want to look on LinkedIn, hashtag just to post it, you might find some of my old content because I don't do that. Or the journey is real, hashtag
feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening. And I do think the next week's we're going to do on imposter syndrome. I was thinking about that because everyone's got it at some point.
Yeah.
But
I was a guest on a podcast talking about that once.
Oh, you'll have to tell us about that next week's then. Hold off on that.
All right. I might have a listen again, dig it out.
Right, take care, guys. See you soon. Bye.